It's a great application for getting a handle on how you're spending your money in the cloud.
Hey, Channel Insiders. I'm your host, Katie Bavoso, and welcome to this episode of Partner POV, brought to you by Vega Cloud. As managing and reselling cloud environments and services becomes more complex, the last thing any managed service provider wants is for tracking and managing revenue and costs to become more complicated. That's why Vega Cloud introduced Vega for MSPs, a simplified platform purpose-built for MSPs to help them spend less time on the books and more time solving business challenges for customers. Joining me to explain how MSPs can make more money with fewer financial headaches is Director of FinOps Larry Cusick and co-founder and CEO Kris Bliesner of Vega Cloud. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to see you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you so much. Let's start by getting a detailed overview of what Vega Cloud and Vega for MSPs actually is. Larry, can you explain how the platform works and what it does?
Sure, thanks. The Vega Cloud platform is an enterprise-grade FinOps SaaS solution that lets customers optimize their cloud spend, enhance financial accountability, and drive operational efficiency. It takes in their CSP billing and usage information, and it provides cost reporting, cost anomaly detection, actionable right sizing. It helps identify potential billing errors. This is across AWS, Azure, GCP, OCI, Snowflake, Databricks. The MSP specific offering is built on top of our normal platform, but it is designed to focus on MSP specific challenges, such as dealing with re-rating, billing reconciliation, providing visibility, not only for the MSP, but also for their customers. So MSPs can see their spend, they can see their customers' spend, and then their customers can drill down into their spend, see cost savings recommendations with their own portals. So it's a great application for getting a handle on how you're spending your money in the cloud.
I agree. Definitely a lot of transparency, which is something that's very necessary when you already have so much to do, as we know MSPs do. Now, Kris, I'm going to go over to you for this next question. Vega Cloud introduced updates to Vega for MSPs at AWS reInvent, but it's been available for a year now. Vega for MSPs was born out of necessity after you'd been seeing financial operations challenges in the managed service provider space. In fact, Kris, the last company you founded prior to Vega was an MSP for AWS. So you know what you're talking about. Walk me through the problems and challenges you saw with MSPs struggling to optimize their billing, revenue, and costs. Why is this a growing issue, and what's contributing to it?
One of the challenges we saw from a provider perspective operating an MSP in the cloud was continuing to get more and more complex over time. So Amazon was continuing to innovate, add more and more services. I think they're up to over 200 different services today. You add in Google, Microsoft Azure, Oracle now. There's just a lot of moving parts to manage. And part of the challenge is that's all over the place, right? People call them different things. They meter or monitor them differently, even within the cloud provider. So it's a really struggle to get your brain around how all these parts work and move together. What we found in the marketplace, even from the days of forming Vega, was that there wasn't really a good platform for folks that were doing this at scale. We tried the industry standard platforms out there, and we couldn't use them for the top 10 customers we had because they really couldn't scale. They weren't thinking about this from a data perspective the way that an operator would. And so one of the things that's unique about Vega is that almost all of the team has an operator background. We're all FinOps certified. And so it allows us to bring that experience with us to build a platform. The reason why we started with enterprises first before MSPs was that we wanted to make sure that we were getting the scale problem right. Because if you don't fix that first, it's hard to then scale up to an MSP perspective. So we got the individual product right. And then we decided, you know what? Now it's time. We always knew we were going to release something for MSPs because that's obviously our background and where our passion is. And so we want to make sure that we can provide a much better platform, a better price point, and also just a better business model. I think that's the other struggle here is that managed service providers are challenged with COGS in general because you're licensing so many different tools to operate your business today, and you're piecing things together with either scripting or other things. And so with Vega, you can retire 3 or 4 tools with one platform And we're not a percentage of spend biller. So as you grow your business, you're not penalized for the growth. You actually get more margin. You get more profitable over time with the Vega platform. That's not the case with any product in the market today. And so we're super excited to be a part of partnering with our customers and making sure that we've got their best interest at hand.
Kris, everything you just mentioned is so important, but you said a number to me in the past as far as the individual billing configurations that you've seen MSPs come through the door with. Can you let our audience know exactly how many of these configurations, independent to each customer, that each of these MSPs is typically dealing with? What's an average number or maybe the highest number that you've seen?
Yeah, in the hundreds for sure, in distinct billing configurations. And I think what's interesting about that is that you've got a lot of challenges in billing cloud in general. Having come from that market, we understand it and know it really well. And it's easy to make mistakes, right? With all these different complicated services and moving parts, it's easy to underbill clients or overbill them. And so you want to make sure that you've got a solid, rock solid platform. You've QC'd everything, tied it out to the penny. You've got an invoice and a reconciliation process to do all that. And that's kind of how we're coming at the problem, is making sure that, one, we can support creative ways for you to bill, because we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to make money. We know that the cloud providers don't always make that easy on MSPs. So we want to make sure that you can use whatever charging model you want and you RI arbitrage, whatever you want to do to be able to continue to make money on resell or MSP, and then be able to support those custom configurations.
Kris, in addition to everything you just said, when you have 5 minutes to really drill into the differentiators of Vega Cloud, what makes Vega Cloud stand out from competitors in the FinOps space?
Yeah, there's a couple of key things, and we talked about it up front, but we're built by operators for operators. We're the only software platform that's actually built from experienced folks. And that's why when you come to Vega, it's going to look radically different. It's not a piece of BI software that, you have to build 1,000 customer reports with. It's actually built exactly the way you would build it yourself if you were an operator, because that's the background we come from. So it's very verticalized in terms of how we think about it. And then the other big piece for us is that a lot of folks just hand over software. And so that's okay, but in a complicated world, it becomes shelfware, right? If I keep seeing more and more recommendations I can't do anything about, I can't silence them, I don't know every single service that Amazon has, how am I an expert about it? And so I get this recommendation, I don't know what to do with it. I have nobody to talk to because I'm just using their software. That's not helpful. So we actually have a monthly check-in with every single one of our customers, allows them to ask questions, get unstuck in the process, right? So that if you have a recommendation in the tool, you're not familiar with it, you want to ask questions, you want to get unstuck, you want to give us feedback, whatever it might be. That allows us to have a much more ingrained partnership approach, which is radically different. And then the third one that I would talk about is the data side. So data fuels everything that we do. And a lot of cloud providers will just pull in data, put it back into pretty charts and graphs, and expose that to the customers. The problem with that is that the data is not always clean. The cloud providers don't always get it right. It's not always in the format that you want to see it. You're doing RI arbitrage as an MSP, or you're doing other things that make it hard to see what's actually going on. Are you underbilling? Are you overbilling? You want to have some reconciliation around that. So getting the data right in the first place, curating that data and making sure it's accurate allows us to make sure that all the recommendations are accurate, all your charts and graphs are accurate. We have all that data. And so it's just a different approach, I think, in terms of, again, ensuring that we're really focused on the clean experience here.
Really good points there, Kris, and thank you so much for that answer. Larry, we're going to turn back to you for this question, which is honestly one of my favorite that I get to ask. What is an example in which you were able to help an MSP make or save more money thanks to Vega for MSPs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Kris mentioned one a minute ago, being able to combine tools, our pricing model, et cetera. But I think one of the most interesting to me is we onboarded an MSP who, like most MSP, had a lot of manual processes. They have an existing tool in the market. They were exporting spreadsheets from that platform to do their monthly billing. And as you can imagine, once you export to a spreadsheet and you allow a bunch of people to make changes, there's going to be mistakes. So we took those billing configurations that Kris mentioned a minute ago, automated them within the platform. And when we sat down during their onboarding and did a comparison between what we believed a specific month's bill to the customer should be and what they had calculated, we'd found out that they were underbilling their customers by about $360,000 per month. So that's quite a big number. Some customers were being overbilled a little bit. Some of them were being underbilled a little bit. But once we automated that and met with a billing team and walked through all the logic that they now no longer had to go doing spreadsheets every month, that really became clear. This mistake became clear. We provided all the backup data to them. And now every month their billing is much more accurate, much less manual, which frees up those teams to go work on new incentives that they're working on within their business, new services they're trying to sell, instead of messing around in spreadsheets and producing manual bills.
And who wants to spend their day on spreadsheets? I totally agree. Great point there. Larry, obviously, as a business, the MSP does not want to have difficult billing conversations about financial data with the customers. So how do you help MSPs avoid explaining those billing errors that Vega helps them find to their customers?
Yeah, let's first identify there are two types of billing errors. There's the one I just described from the MSP through no fault of their own. We have now solved that by automated their billing process, and they shouldn't have that in the future. But the other type of billing error we see is from the cloud providers themselves. As they add more services and more ways to charge for those services, they can often make mistakes when charging their end customer. So what Vega does is we calculate what we believe that invoice should be, compare it to the cloud provider's invoice. And in one of our tabs called the Finance tab, there's a billing reconciliation dashboard that shows a delta between the CSP's bill and what we calculate it to be. We will describe in detail where the mistake took place. For example, the customer was supposed to get a 7% discount on support, but they only got a 5.5% discount. So we provide all the detailed information to allow the customer, whether it be an MSP or a regular customer, to go open a ticket with the CSP, provide the detailed information. And if they need us to, we're happy to hop on a phone call with the CSP and explain the difference we have found. So this doesn't happen to every customer every month, but it does happen often enough that it's something we want to make sure that we are looking for.
Another differentiating factor for Vega, and this is huge for MSPs, is that when that happens, so when the cloud provider issues a credit to the end customer, the problem you have then is that you have to explain both the credit. So you've got this dip now in financials. Maybe that was going for 3 months, so it added up to a bigger number than it should have been. And then your historics are wrong. Well, none of the cloud providers and none of the other tools fix that. So you're just explaining these weird things for a 13-month roving sort of finance window during quarterly reviews or whatever. We fix two things. We can peanut butter shred the credit. We can put it in a separate account, do whatever you want with it so it doesn't show up in front and center for CFOs to ask, what is that? Because it's just a billing error. And then we can also fix the historics. We do this for tagging. We do this for billing errors, all kinds of things to make sure that we can actually go back to the instance where that resource actually got created and make sure that it's accurate. And so being able to make sure the historics are accurate, make sure that we can then do better forecasting, better recommendations, all that kind of stuff. And you're actually getting accurate data in your dashboards and your reporting.
Kris, let's talk more about those MSPs. Who is this platform designed for? Can smaller MSPs use it, or is it better for those enterprise level ones?
Yeah, we have large MSPs and small MSPs on the platform today. I would say it's very typical to our standard enterprise, which is if you have about $5 million of spend under management and above, we're a great solution for you. So if you're smaller than that, then there's lots of great either internal tools from the cloud providers or other things. You don't typically have multi-cloud at that stage. Like there's just a lot of problems that you're not going to have yet that Vega solves really, really well. I'd say kind of in that $5 million to $10 million range is kind of our beginning point, and then we go all the way up into the 9 figures. And so we can support you along that journey. Again, because we're not a percentage of bill, as you grow your business, you're not going to pay more for the Vega Cloud platform.
Thank you so much, Kris. And Larry, back over to you. How quickly can an MSP get Vega for MSPs up and running in their environment? And of course, how easy is it for them to navigate from there?
Yeah, we try to make it as simple as possible for the MSPs to onboard with us. We have an MSP-specific migration framework that provides templates for the business rules we've been talking about, for tagging, for any sort of metadata information that needs to come within the platform. They can connect via SSO with SAML or Okta. And as long as they can run a couple of scripts in their cloud provider environments to get us the billing and usage information, we can get that data within the platform within days. For example, we onboarded a MSP last summer that had 500 customers. We got that done in less than 2 months. So we tried to do as much of the work on our side and make it easy for the MSPs. And then once they're in the platform, we can provide training, whether it's MSP specific training or end user customer training, and make sure that they are navigating and as comfortable with the platform as they can be. We have great online documentation, online scripts they can walk through to get familiar with the platform. And of course, as Kris mentioned, we have those monthly meetings to make sure everybody is getting what they need from the platform.
And let's talk more about those monthly meetings as an example of how you stay with that MSP even after that deployment. So how does Vega Cloud and the team maintain that partnership with the MSP after the deployment? Like I said, what does the ongoing support look like from there? And of course, we've mentioned this a few times, but I think it bears repeating.
I have to tell you, this is actually the favorite part of my job because I've come from other companies where we don't do this. We really stay in close contact with those companies. I'm going to use a real life example, Mission Cloud, a great customer of ours. Of course, every customer has a dedicated customer success manager and the FinOps SME that we've mentioned in the past. They have access to open tickets with us, whether it's through the platform, through a different portal, or through email. But we hold weekly office hours where anybody can come in, whether it's MSP or their customers, and ask for help. Ask us any question they want. It can be about the platform. It can be about FinOps in general. It could be a general cloud question. We deal with them all. So we want to be able to get them as comfortable as can be. And we also hold the trainings I talked about earlier. We also have a monthly brown bag with their CTO and other executives within their company to talk about partnerships. How can we help each other? How do we integrate better to make it easier for their customers to not only access our data, but access the MSP's data? And then for key players within the organization, we have a Slack channel. So they can immediately reach out to us on any issues they need help with.
Very nice and very involved. I like the brown bag lunch that you mentioned. I think that when you operate something like that, people are bound to come, especially if they hear the word lunch involved. So very good news there. And now, Kris, back over to you. Thinking about the future, what does the future of Vega Cloud and Vega for MSPs look like? And can we expect any further updates as we go through this year?
Absolutely. We're a product-driven company. We do a lot of updates. We're publishing new releases every month, new recommendations for optimization opportunities. What you're going to see from us in the short term is deeper Kubernetes integration. So folks that are running Kubernetes at scale, we can help manage that at a detail level. We've actually open sourced a Kubernetes agent. So you can actually install our metrics agent on your cluster, pull back more data, and allow you to do more analysis, those kinds of things. We're going to continue to drive workflow automation for MSPs. So Larry talked a little bit about some of the work that we're doing to automate billing. We're going to continue to do more in that space. Every MSP I talk to, billing is a hassle. It's a pain in the butt. It takes forever. The errors are costly, as we've talked about, or can be. And so you want to make sure you have it automated, you have it correct, and you're getting it in your workflow, and you're not spending hours and hours and hours every month closing out the month. So we want to make that easier for MSPs. That's a big point of our issue this year. And then we're also working on helping customers migrate from other existing platforms as well. When folks find us, one of the interesting things about Vega is that our Net Promoter Score from 2024 is 67. I'd hazard a guess that the closest competition in the MSP space is under 0. We don't see people that are in love with the software that they're using for lots of reasons, right? They don't have the human being support that Larry talked about. They don't have the right focus of, hey, this was built by software engineers instead of managed services people. Like, how do I use this? So there's a lot of missing pieces, and people don't love their existing platforms. That's different with Vega. And so we're going to continue to drive and listen to customers, build customer requested features, those kinds of things. I keep hearing nightmares of people implementing support requests for feature requests and waiting for years to hear back on what's going on. And that's just not customer focused, right? And I think one of the things I love about Vega is that we have a very customer focused sort of culture here, and you'll hear that from everybody. And so we're going to continue to build on top of that for our MSPs.
I love to hear that. And for any MSPs that are listening and watching right now and they're thinking, these are challenges I'm facing, where can they go to learn more and get started with Vega for MSPs?
Yeah, they can go to our website, vegacloud.io, which has an MSP specific page with data sheets, white papers, infographics all around MSPs, the challenges they face, and how Vega can help them address that. And they're always allowed to reach out to me, Larry at vegacloud.io, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Larry, Kris, thank you both so much for your time today. I really appreciated getting to learn more about Vega Cloud and Vega for MSPs. And thanks to you at home for joining us. For more episodes of Partner POV, check out channelinsider.com. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso, and I'll see you next time.